We are Group 15. Today we will discuss the topic of land and exclusion. This topic involves two questions. What are the issues related to land and exclusion, and what does exclusion mean? Firstly, what is exclusion?
I believe that land-related exclusion is how people are organized to benefit from land. This definition changes how we think about it. Exclusion isn't just obvious conflicting actions like the government taking land or company taking over farms. It's also deeper, structural rule. Any productive use of land will put some people out if land is given a clear purpose to make a specific kind of output. Some people will be left out because they don't fit that purpose. It's no one's fault. It's just a natural result. Land is limited and people's needs are different. It's like one piece of land can only grow one crop. It can't meet everyone's needs at the same time. Next, we will look at the examples. The new village in Malaysia and Plosimaka in Singapore. You will see conclusion is always part of land places, from colonial era village resettlement to modern waste management. Understanding this definition helps us see what really happens in these cases.
I believe that land use is the primary source of displacement. My part is about the core of exclusion, which explains why exclusion occurs in land use. According to power of exclusion, exclusion is not only first imitation, but also keeping certain groups away from land resource and related benefits. As land grows more valuable economically, equal access becomes difficult and exclusion is almost unavoidable. To begin with, market forces play an important role, which when land is development for industrial, tourism, or cash crops, big companies and investors take advantage, leaving small farmers marginalized. In addition, the state and legal system also contribute to exclusion. Governments control land ownership and use through laws, policy, and development planning. Moreover, power and social relationships are equally significant. People with wealth, influence, and political connections gain better access to land resource. Finally, many land projects are justified in the name of national development or environmental protection, despite harm to local communities. In conclusion, exclusion doesn't stem from a single factor, but the combined influence markets, laws, and power.
That's the presentation by the first two students. We now understand that exclusion and its origins are not random. Next, we will take a look at the Malaysia new villages to see how land and exclusion are connected. The creation of new villages was a way of exclusion certain group of people through the use of land. Professor Francis Ross says that during the state of emergency in the early 1950s, people were forcibly concentrated, confined, and isolated, and forced to leave their original land and leave house. But if you dig a bit deeper, you'll see that it's actually about land rights. The 1954 Tory report made it pretty clear that most villagers weren't included in the distribution of agricultural land. Instead, it was all about mining and rubber plantations, which basically meant that villagers couldn't really make a living off their own land. After independence, it was really hard for most people to get permanent ownership of their land because of the cost and because of the way land was owned. This means that 85% of households were in a state of long-term instability and dependency. In the end, the land exclusion policy made that people were disenfranchised, political, had limited development opportunities, and their identity was marginalized. You could say that the history of Malaysia's new villages is one of exclusion created by land and made institutional by the system. This case shows that land here isn't the foundation of power, but rather a tool the government used to control the people. It's not a platform for outward development, but a mechanism for marginalization. We can also see the problems of political and social exclusion that are linked to land. That's all.
I believe that the primary issue regarding land matters lies with the state and the legal system. Now I will talk about the first land issue, which is the role of the state and the law in land ownership and redistribution. In Malaysia, land is not only an economic resource, but also a source of security and survival. The government plays an important role in deciding who can use land and who can benefit from it. After the colonial period, the Malaysian government introduced land policies and legal systems to control land ownership. However, these policies also created exclusion. For example, some groups were given titles, while others had no official documents. People without legal ownership could no access to land and resource. At the same time, land redistribution sometimes benefited certain groups more than others. Therefore, exclusion does not always mean direct force. It can also happen through laws and policies that decided who has access to land. Thank you.
There are also issues related to environment protection, land conservation, and external. I'd like to share the environment lessons from Palestinian Islands. These small Singapore islands were the last home of the landlocked people. It held precious mangrove ecosystems and 14 country culture relics with great ecological and historical value. Due to the lack of complete natural resource management in the past, the island was unprotected. Industry construction caused still ecological damage. In 1993, the government demolished the island and turned it into a dumping ground. Local residents were displaced, and the original ecological and traditional lifestyles were completely destroyed. This tragedy warns us that we cannot sacrifice natural and indigenous culture for economic growth. We must improve resource management, balance development, and conservation, and stick to sustainable environment protect. That's all.
I believe that the massive influx of cash growth into market has exacerbated and issues and led to widespread displacement. And I would like to talk about the impact of the new trend of cash crops on Southeast Asia. And I will focusing on the explanation of economic growth such as palm oil in Malaysia, shrimp farming in Thailand, and coffee production in Vietnam. Over the past decade, these crops have become important drivers of economic growth. They generate export revenue, create jobs, and integrate these countries into global markets. However, behind this development lies a significant transformation of land use and ownership. In Malaysia, large-scale palm oil plantations have expanded rapidly, often concentrating land in the hands of corporations while reducing the space available for small farmers. In Thailand, Streamer has converted cultural areas and traditional farmland into commercial ponds, sometimes pushing out local communities. In Vietnam, the coffee boom has increased and pressure in the central highlands, leading to competition, migration, and inequality. These examples show that where land becomes primarily an economic community, it can create solutions. Some groups benefit greatly, while others lose access to land, resources, and long-term security. Therefore, sustainable development must balance economic growth with fair land distribution and social inclusion. And that's all.
In addition to the 3 points mentioned above, this has been friction between people in terms of agriculture, electronic, and relationship electronic. These problems happen between neighborhoods and families, not from the government. They come from less farmland and arguments with different groups of people. First, agriculture exclusion. As cities grow, many farmers are taken away. Land becomes expensive and poor farmers cannot afford it. They lose their land and cannot find other job, so they can no longer live by farming. Second, relationship exclusion. When land is scarce, people fight over it. Family members argue over land. Neighborhood fight over board and water. In Malaysia, different groups fight for land and make more trouble. In short, these two problems hurt families life and hurt community places. That's all.
Hello, I will be focusing on the real-life case of Pulau Semakau, the indigenous maritime community of Singapore used this island as their final burial ground. In 1993, the government conducted the evacuation of entire population to contract the offshore landfill. This case illustrates the exclusion through the basic elements that define the exclusion. People disconnect from land when they create relationships with multiple territories. The authorities decide to use the territories for urban waste management, stripping the indigenous community of the land rights. These rules give the development. So in the theory with development, if land use changes in a way that benefits the state or bigger organizations, natural group fields will be occurred. The story of Pulau Semakau shows the exclusion is not just a concept. It is a powerful force that severs the connection between a people and their home for the sake of national interest. Thank you.
Thanks for your listening. That's all. Our drive to go to discussion about the land and the exclusion.